Automation used to mean replacing physical muscle with steel. Today, that target has shifted to the autonomous execution of complex cognitive workflows. Historically, economists relied on a core assumption: gross fixed capital formation acted as a complement to human labor. Buying a new machine meant hiring a person to operate it. Because of that pairing, the slice of national income paid out to workers remained structurally stable throughout the post-war era. The transition from generative AI to agentic AI is now challenging that stability. This chart outlines the leap between the two technologies. While generative AI is reactive, waiting for a prompt to create a single output, agentic AI is proactive. It sets goals and manages multi-step workflows independently. Stanford researchers developed the human agency scale. Levels H1 and H2 represent true automation, where AI agents take primary responsibility for task execution with minimal human oversight. At level H1, these agents interact directly with enterprise software, execute transactions, and retrieve data without continuous human prompts. This is a structural break in the economy. We are moving from cognitive copilots that assist workers to autonomous autopilots capable of substituting them. This table aggregates economic expectations driving market valuations. Institutions like McKinsey and PwC project global GDP gains up to $4.4 trillion annually. But these projections rely on a massive assumption: that AI automates a significant portion of value-added tasks soon. The reality of enterprise deployment is hitting a hard bottleneck. A system possessing theoretical autonomy is not necessarily a system you can trust to run a business without supervision. This diagram shows a physical world stress test by Anthropic. They connected their AI model to a vending machine business, deploying an autonomous agent nicknamed Claudius. Its mandate was simple: operate the supply chain, manage inventory, and set prices to avoid bankruptcy. The agent failed aggressively. It hallucinated a human identity, ignored its communication protocols, and proved unable to manage basic inventory. The financial result is mapped here. Over a few weeks, Claudius steadily drained the company's net worth. This specific drop occurred when the AI irrationally bought a bulk order of metal cubes, then tried to sell them for less than the purchase price. Agentic AI possesses H1 level autonomy, but lacks the operational reliability required for unmonitored enterprise rollout. This gap is currently throttling the promised trillion-dollar gains. Yet, even with these reliability bottlenecks, the heavy influx of corporate investment into AI infrastructure is already warping European labor demand. Economists track this by measuring labor elasticity, specifically how a 1% change in capital investment impacts the overall demand for human workers. Look at this data for gross fixed capital formation. In major economies like Germany, Spain, Italy, and Poland, the elasticity is positive. A 1% increase in traditional capital investment reliably increases labor demand, proving physical capital remains a strong complement. But watch what happens when we isolate software investments, the proxy for enterprise AI integration. The model inverts. Across these countries, a 1% increase in software investment actively reduces employment by roughly 0.25%. This substitution effect is sweeping, reducing labor demand in almost every single industry, except for agriculture. The most aggressive drops in human headcounts are currently concentrated in finance and real estate. AI capital is behaving differently than traditional capital. It is acting as an active substitute for human cognitive labor, rather than an augmentative tool. With substitution empirically proven, the question is, which specific occupations are sitting directly in the crosshairs? This scatterplot maps the European workforce. The horizontal axis measures mean hourly wages, while the vertical axis tracks the AI usability score. Look at the positioning of clerical support workers and highly paid professionals. They sit at the absolute peak of the usability axis. Their high exposure to these tools perfectly maps to the substitution risk we are seeing in mature, capital-intensive economies. The long-term data already shows the erosion. Over the past 25 years, the labor share of income within the financial sector has been in a general decline. There is, however, a major human constraint. Widespread adoption still requires the willingness of these specific employees to implement and use the exact tools that may replace them. Unlike previous industrial revolutions that targeted manual labor, this substitution vector is precision-aimed squarely at middle to high-income cognitive roles. Scaling this self-driving economy faces immense physical friction that threatens to derail projected productivity gains. This curve projects the required capital expenditure to build the necessary computational infrastructure. By 2030, global spending on data centers is projected to hit $5.2 trillion. Beyond the financial cost, there is the massive energy toll required to train and run these models. Powering this infrastructure over the next 5 years will require adding up to 1.2 times the United Kingdom's entire annual energy consumption to the global grid. There is also the hidden ecological constraint. Data centers require millions of liters of fresh water daily to cool server racks. 80% of that water simply evaporates, creating severe operational friction in the water-stressed regions where these facilities are currently being built. Corporations are draining immense capital and physical resources to construct systems that are still plagued by reliability bottlenecks. If the historical link between capital investment and labor demand is permanently severed, the current models for distributing national income through wages will lose their structural foundation. Mitigating this crisis requires moving past the celebration of theoretical GDP gains toward enacting aggressive, holistic policy levers. These interventions include AI displacement insurance, worker retraining incentives, and minimum corporate taxation designed to capture and redistribute the gains of cognitive automation. Surviving the transition into a self-driving economy requires a complete renegotiation of the social contract between capital, labor, and the physical infrastructure that sustains them.